Boyfriend doesn't support his girlfriend trying to get in shape. Story, I, 28, M, have a girlfriend, 28F, that just recently decided to sign up for a half marathon come December. The reason why she signed up is because she doesn't want to go to an event that's also happening that day, so she has a built-in excuse that's pretty wild to me. She asked me beforehand, and I told her I thought that was a bad idea. She doesn't like running, nor does she runs, and she could find another excuse that isn't running a half marathon. She still signed up anyways. She then told me that she will follow a 12-week plan for running the half marathon that was given to her with her inscription. Here's the thing. I'm a runner in an elite running club. I've run over a dozen half marathons and countless 5Ks and 10Ks in my life. This summer, I ran a 10K and a half marathon. I finished 5th overall in the 10K and 12th in my category for the half marathon. I'm by no means a good runner, good as in make a living running, but I do know what I'm talking about. She's often talked about wanting to get in shape, which I've always encouraged but never pushed for. It's not my place. About a month ago, she started to go to barre classes, and she's enjoying them quite a bit. I've gone with her a couple times too. So I assumed that going to barre classes was the final motivation she needed to sign up for the half marathon. Anyways, I advised her to start walking and jogging now before she starts the 12 weeks program. I told her that she needs to build a cardio base before she takes on a half marathon program that includes jogging, repetitions, intervals, long distance, hills, etc. She doesn't want to because she's not willing to stop going to barre classes, and she gets tired doing 2 workouts a day. I told her that a half marathon is a lot mileage and that she needed to get extra prepared so she doesn't get injured in the race. She said she's not interested in achieving a good time, and just that she wants to finish, even if it's walking. Also that she has a cardio base from playing basketball growing up. She stopped playing basketball 8 years ago. I told her that she made this commitment and that she should take it more seriously. 12 weeks for a half marathon is a pretty standard program when you have been running and you want to hit your peak in the race, not when you're about to start from scratch. That was the last straw, and she got really upset with me, saying that I was trying to put her down, not being supportive of her, and that it's not easy for her when her boyfriend is in great shape and she isn't. At that point, I apologized for making her feel that way, and that I would drop it. I do feel that I need to find a better way to approach it, but I want to know, was I the a-hole? Response 1, YTA, but it's not that big of a deal. She's telling you how she feels about the race. She said she's not interested in achieving a good time, and just that she wants to finish, even if it's walking. But you're coming at this from the perspective of someone who thinks races are serious business. I told her that she made this commitment and that she should take it more seriously. She just wants to do this to do this. She doesn't want to take it too seriously. She wants to enjoy it and do it at her own pace, on her own time. Reply 1, she doesn't want to take it too seriously. She wants to enjoy it. A couple of weekends ago, Sydney had its annual City 2 Surf 14 kilometers event. Lots of people take it seriously and do lots of prep. Lots of other people have a fun walk in costumes. They're all happy to do it their way. They just mutually exist. You're the a-hole. Reply 2, plus a 14 kilometers walk is still a solid exercise when the government has to beg people to walk for 30 minutes. Laugh out loud. Reply 3, when I had more time, I'd do 14 kilometers walks without really thinking about it or planning it, and I couldn't run for 2 minutes at the time. If the organizers don't care if people walk, it's not remotely a serious thing. Reply 4. I did a 10-miler while recovering from pneumonia, and my BFF was 6 months pregnant. We stopped for donuts and still didn't finish last. Some people just want to have fun. And also the swag was a crown. Reply 5. I did a Disneyland 10K 6 weeks after a concussion. I cried and glued myself to the pacers. I did not care how slow I was, I just wanted to cross the finish line. I've also walked a couple of half marathons. Just time to spend with a friend. Everyone is doing the same distance. Other people just get there before me. Laugh out loud. Response 2, YTA. Oh no, she's doing my thing and she's not doing it the way I think it should be done. That's what you sound like. Reply 1. Honestly, that's a good point. It's hard for me to understand how I sound to other people. Point taken. Reply 2. It's cool that you're so open to the feedback you're getting. You sound like you genuinely asked this in good faith and are taking the good and the bad into account. Not everyone has the capacity to do that. Reply 3. Would have been more cool if he was open to the feedback he was getting from his girlfriend versus complete strangers on the internet. Reply 4. People who respond so reasonably to input from others are awesome. Based on your willingness to learn, OP, I'm pretty sure you and your girlfriend will be able to talk things through and smooth things over. Reply 5. My partner does this a lot with video games. As a chaos gremlin who plays to play and almost never to win, we sometimes bump heads and have had similar conversations like you and your girlfriend have. Kudos to you for acknowledging how you sound and not getting super defensive. Response 3. YTA. I told her that she made this commitment and that she should take it more seriously. She's not marrying running. She signed up for a half marathon. Best case scenario is that it kicks her butt and she takes it more seriously next time. Worst case is that she bails halfway into it or has to walk it out if she's determined to finish. Reply 1. Best case scenario is she walks most of it but has a good time. Even walking 13 miles in one go is nothing to sneeze at for someone that hasn't trained. She'll get some good exercise, have a good time, and come away with a sense of accomplishment. Response 4. I think you're not the a-hole, but I also think the way you wrote this is causing a lot of people to misunderstand you. I think a lot of people are interpreting your take it more seriously as really try to get a good time. But I don't think that's what you meant. I think you meant take more seriously the potential for self-injury and jumping into the 12-week training course, since that course is meant for people who are already runners. So you're worried about her hurting herself, and that's a legitimate concern. Hell, just walking 13 miles in a single day is a lot. Is that what you meant? Reply 1. That's a good point. I never meant to say you have to make a good time, but instead, you have to take your training seriously to be prepared to run such a long distance. I should have been more clear there. Reply 2. I really wish a few orthosurgeons or sports specialists would step in on this conversation. An awful lot of people are asserting that you can't hurt yourself by taking on this kind of training or running a half marathon unprepared. I'll give you odds they're under 25. Reply 3. How about someone in rehab who gets to treat people that think they are in shape and take on challenges like this, then end up hurt for months after then coming to PT for at least a couple months to get back on track? She would do better to start her base training, 12-week program, out as far as possible. This will allow her to heal up from some of the minor training injuries she will get. Reply 4. We're not saying it can't happen. We're saying the girl who is prepared to walk the entire half marathon isn't likely to get injured. Reply 5. My particular part of this is the people with takes, that the injury wouldn't be an issue because she wouldn't be doing any more runs in essence, as though an injury somewhere on the leg isn't going to potentially complicate a lot of life for potentially quite a while. Response 5. YTA, it's just a half marathon. She can walk it if she wants. She can quit if she wants. She can sleep in instead if she wants. There's no consequence for not running a half marathon that she signed up for. It's not even that big of a commitment. No one, except you, are going to care if she doesn't do it. The only risk is if she doesn't train and pushes her body too hard at the marathon and hurts herself. Rather than acting like she should become an avid runner just because she signed up for a half marathon, you should support her decision to participate in the marathon at her comfort level in a safe way. She isn't risking injury yet, so you are out of line with your lectures. As for taking the commitment seriously, give me a break. Running is your hobby, not her life's work. Reply 1. Nowhere did he say she should become an avid runner. There's nothing wrong with somebody not wanting to see their spouse hurt themselves because they're ill-prepared. Reply 2. Is there actually any real risk of her injuring herself if she walks it though? Surely if she starts to feel bad/in pain or like it's too hard she can just stop. I am genuinely asking because I don't know. Reply 3. Absolutely. If your body isn't conditioned to walking 13 miles, it's like any other strenuous activity. You may not even know you're injured for a day or two. Reply 4. There is definitely one, plantar fasciitis being one of the main ones. Very common in, you guessed it, people who decide to start running without training. Reply 5. It's pretty easy to get injured when you go from 0. 100 without building the foundation first. It could be ankle, foot, knee, hips, etc., maybe even a stress fracture. Just starting by walking a little each day can drastically reduce her chance of injury. Also, separately, how do we know she's going to commit to a 12-week training plan that's probably designed for intermediate runners if she won't even start small now? It's a kind of a big commitment. Response 6. High. She said she's not interested in achieving a good time. And just that, she wants to finish even if it's walking. This is when you should have stopped pushing. It's understandable that you have some expertise in this field that you want to share with her. You can do that up until she communicates that she's not looking for your input or coaching. At that point, back off. Let her know you'll give input when she wants, and leave it at that. I told her that she made this commitment and that she should take it more seriously. She made the commitment. This adult woman made this choice and gets to choose how seriously she takes it and how she holds herself to her own voluntary commitment. She doesn't need and clearly doesn't want you stepping in and acting like a parent and metaphorically standing over her shoulder, making sure she's getting it done. You take this seriously, so it's hard for you to come at this from her level of not taking it very seriously, but she doesn't have to. Response 7, NTA. As a mediocre runner at best, I've done a few halves and one full, but been at the middle of the pack at best. It is reasonable to point out the issues. You sound like you're being supportive of her fitness efforts, but not necessarily a brief training plan for this kind of undertaking, which is reasonable. Undertraining is a good way to get injured. The real issue here is this elaborate plan to get out of doing some other unnamed event, which may be what really needs to get unpacked. Reply 1. It's a local fair on a Sunday that she has to go to be at her work stand. She doesn't like it because it's a full-day commitment. Reply 2. This is hilarious to me. She signed up for a 12-week training program and a half marathon because she doesn't like a single full-day commitment. The math isn't mathing for me on this one, oh Mao. Reply 3. I've had to work a state fair like that in my work's booth collecting info from people for leads, and it's miserable. Truly miserable and long and boring and hot, and people are rude as hell. I'd rather sign up for a half marathon and train for 12 weeks, for sure. Reply 4. Or she's using it as an additional incentive to do something she wants to do. Train and get into better shape. Sometimes it helps to have multiple reasons to do something, or rather to have a concrete reason with a deadline. I did this in a way. I wanted to lose a little weight and get in better shape before being in a wedding, so I signed up for a race the weekend before. It helped me to have the additional external pressure to set up a training schedule. Response 8. NTA. Folks that haven't done long races like this don't realize what the pounding and stress can do to an unprepared person. My friend, who was very fit in other ways, was taken out of commission athletically for years by doing a long race without adequate prep and still has recurring pain. He only felt exhausted during the race. The problem started the next day, so he wouldn't have known to bail to protect himself. Your girlfriend doesn't know this, and you're the a-hole people don't either, but you're trying to save her from potentially lifelong pain. Reply 1. I have run. I find most responses are based on girl good. Man bad. But the runners here know differently. I think she's an absolute fool and this isn't going to end well. Not the a-hole. Reply 2. But the runners here know differently. I think she is an absolute fool and this isn't going to end well. She is doing a bar class 6 days a week. OP said this in a comment, and will be doing 12 weeks of training. If she is walking the half marathon, she just needs to walk for 4 hours at the standard pace used for road design. Unless she has some underlying health issues, her risk of injury for walking that fast and long with that much preparation is low. He isn't telling her, that sounds great, take the training slowly. He's saying, you need to be doing hills and intervals, your plan is wrong. The 6 days a week of exercise classes don't count toward building up your fitness and cardio. A great way to stop someone from exercising is to criticize them non-stop when they start to try and exercise after they tell you to stop. Reply 3. He isn't telling her, that sounds great, take the training slowly. He's saying, you need to be doing hills and intervals, your plan is wrong. You're reading what he said incorrectly. Actually, a lot of you're the a-hole people in this thread are. He is saying the opposite of your summary. He is worried for her because this 12-week course is a crash course that assumes you're already a more experienced runner. It's for tuning up before a race, not for learning how to run. So the 12-week course has her doing hills and intervals, which he disagrees with, and says she needs to build up a base before she tries to do something like that. In other words, he's worried that the training she has chosen to follow could itself injure her. It's completely opposite of these assumptions in this thread of people saying he's criticizing her approach, and what's the big deal? It's just a half marathon, and she's doing a 12-week program. Yes, one of his issues is with this 12-week program. Reply 4, yup, I'm a below average runner, male. But I enjoy it, so I do it. I have almost 10 half marathons, a full marathon, and a marathon I DNF'd at mile 15, plus a ton of 5Ks under my belt. My sister, exceptional runner, went to college on running scholarship, and my mom over 50 marathons and ton of other 5Ks, halves, triathlons under their belts. All this to say that training should be taken seriously. Even people who walk the races train really well. Yeah, you can muscle it out and finish the race, but you risk injury, and that's just dumb when it could be mitigated by training appropriately. Reply 5, there are so many fake runners in this thread claiming they easily ran a half marathon without training, just so they can argue with OP. Response 9, NTA. I ran cross country in college. That is an 8K or just under 5 miles. She is attempting to run over 2.6 times that distance. For the people saying you're the a-hole, they've probably never run long distances competitively before. Yes, she can get seriously injured without proper training. You're only looking out for her. Also, even just walking 13.1 is extremely difficult. You've done nothing wrong. You're just looking out for her health. Reply 1, it's not just about time, but about pacing and proper fueling. You can do a 12-week plan if you have a 3-mile base. I have seen so many people who are in shape that didn't properly train and crashed and burned on race day. They get dehydrated or get hurt. If she's going to be serious, then she can do it in 22 weeks. People don't realize this is a few hours of straight running. Reply 2, I run half marathons and I think he's TA. But it's because she has no intention of running this race competitively. She clearly doesn't care about her time, and she said she's willing to walk the race. As long as she doesn't feel pressured to push through an injury, she should be fine. Walking 13.1 miles isn't easy, but it also isn't extremely difficult for most young people who exercise somewhat regularly. Blisters are probably the biggest concern. Still, I think he would do better to remind her that she doesn't need to finish the race if things start hurting. Response 10. I told her that she made this commitment and that she should take it more seriously. She's taking it as seriously as she wants to. I don't think you are being a straight-up a-hole per se, but you and she are approaching running differently. Bar is not exactly easy, laugh out loud. She's going to have a good time, not to make a good time. Frankly, dude, it kind of sounds like you're taking it semi-personally that she's using something you enjoy doing as an excuse to get out of something she doesn't want to do. Edit. Voting you're the a-hole. Reply 1. Having been both a runner and a bar attendee, I think OP might be underestimating the intensity of barre. If the girlfriend is doing a training program on top of barre, she'll be fine. Response 11. God, no, you're not the a-hole. I ran/walked a 5K with no prep, and it was a horrible experience. I can't imagine doing 4 times that distance. Response 12. YTA, she's doing it to try it out. Like she pointed out, she's not going for time and just wants to finish. I did my first half a few years back. I hate running. I ended up doing a 5K 2 days before, then a 10K the day before, and then the half. I had 0 prior experience and did a pretty relaxed run schedule. She doesn't need to have some sort of hardcore training regimen like you do. You should be encouraging her and doing some runs with her, but you're being negative and talking down to her because of your experience. People run these things just for fun too. Be supportive. Response 13. First of all, my heart dropped because I just signed up for my first half marathon ever yesterday and was like, no way my boyfriend just made a post. Anyway, that aside, you're the a-hole. Why do you care how seriously she takes her performance for the event? Why should she take it more seriously? You say you've only been encouraging in the past and never pushed for more, but that's what you're doing. You were fine giving suggestions, but you should have backed off when she clearly wasn't interested in hearing them. Reply 1. I think he is trying to make sure she doesn't get hurt. He just isn't the best at explaining it in a way that doesn't make him come across as an a-hole. Judged off his intentions, he is not the a-hole, but his words make him come across as an a-hole. Reply 2. Op mentioned in another comment she needs to take it seriously to not hurt herself. You can wreck your body pretty easily if you undertrain, then just try to do 13 miles. Apparently she's getting winded at 2 miles of jogging currently. This 3-month program could actually hurt her if it's too much for her current ability. Response 14. You're taking this way more seriously than you need to be, man. She doesn't have to see it the way you do. She's not interested in being fast, and is comfortable walking the rest of the way when she runs out of steam. If you know running, then you'll know you also need to stay in your lane. She could hurt herself, yes, but compared to other sports, the damage isn't going to be super significant. It'll be an inconvenient lesson learned, but she can stop and pull out whenever she wants to. She's an adult. You're the a-hole. Response 15. Are you worried about her being injured? Or is it more that she might make you look bad? I didn't see anywhere that you thought that her training might injure her, or you were worried about that. It kind of sounds like you're more worried about her not being good enough. I am currently training for a half marathon, and it's not easy. And I don't think 12 weeks is enough, but if she just wants to finish, like me, and she has a plan that won't injure her, then what's the harm? Let her try. I think you're taking this way too seriously. Have you offered to go on long runs with her? Any help in getting her gear or shoes? Stop being upset and help her achieve the best she can by getting her ready. I lost 50 pounds before I started running and I hated it, but now I love running and do it on my way to lose another 30, but I was putting in 8-mile walking days before I started training. I think you just need to take a step back and realize she is doing this for fun and to have a solid goal. Let he have her wins and losses along with the ups and downs. Reply 1. Can you expand on why you think that I think she might make me look bad? I've seen that in a couple of comments, but I'm not understanding that train of thought. Why would she be not good enough in my eyes? Reply 2. It's just the way you talk about being an elite runner, the fact that this is your sport of choice and you have the expertise, and if she doesn't measure up, then it might reflect onto you. You didn't help her train or something. It's more of a feeling from how you write, but I've thought about this more and I think I know what's happened. You and your girlfriend have both unintentionally hurt each other. She hurt your feelings by not taking your advice to heart. You feel you're the expert and know what you are talking about, and she should listen to you. However, your girlfriend might feel hurt that you don't trust her, that you don't think she's athletic enough or committed enough to follow through. You both might just be feeling the other isn't listening. I would recommend having a sit-down talk where you can both bring up concerns. I would center your concerns, not that she can't do it, but that you are worried about injuries, like stress fractures or overuse injuries on muscles. Let her air out why she feels you don't trust her, or maybe she feels unsupportive. Then come up with a game plan. Get her new gear. You're the expert. Offer advice on shoes, shorts, a vest, and water bottles. Help her with the long runs. Offer to run with her or set up aid stations so she can get used to grabbing water and running. Make sure she has rest days and offer her leg massages. She wants to do this. Let her, but offer her support. One thing is to make sure there's not cutoff time for the race. My half marathon has a 4-hour cutoff for finishing. If she needs to walk, make sure it's still in time to finish. Reply 3. I think he mentioned his experience, not because he feels her performance could be a reflection on himself, but so that those people here reading this know he's not just pulling information out of his ass and trying to mansplain exercise to his girlfriend. Reply 4. You're completely misreading this situation. Is there a bit of pride involved when someone knows what they're talking about and have dedicated tons of time to it? Yeah, duh, it'd be weird not to be confident about that. He laid out his credentials because that's what gives his words credibility, and thus why she should listen to someone who knows more and also has her best interests at heart. I went to boot camp out of shape and injured myself while running because I had bad form and ended up with a stress fracture in my ankle. Running way more than you're used to and or going from no running to training for a 13-mile marathon could very much lead her to injure herself. He's looking out for her. All the support in the world won't heal what will take months of rehab to do. I've had to have similar talks with my nephew when he got into lifting because he overdid things way too much. Don't you think with his experience, he might have just a bit more understanding than her about how this is a very small time frame to prepare? And also the potential for injury. He isn't being a dick. He's looking out for his girlfriend. Could he approach it better? Maybe in the sense of saying whatever he needs to persuade her from her, but he didn't say anything wrong. Reply 5. I'm a runner in an elite running club. I've run over a dozen half marathons and countless 5Ks and 10Ks in my life. This summer I ran a 10K and a half marathon. I finished 5th overall in the 10K and 12th in my category for the half marathon. Anyways, I advised her to start walking and jogging now before she starts the 12 weeks program. I told her that she needs to build a cardio base before she takes on a half marathon program that includes jogging, repetitions, intervals, long distance, hills, etc. I told her that a half marathon is a lot mileage and that she needed to get extra prepared so she doesn't get injured in the race. I told her that she made this commitment and that she should take it more seriously. 12 weeks for a half marathon is a pretty standard program when you have been running and you want to hit your peak in the race, not when you're about to start from scratch. Her boyfriend is in great shape and she isn't. This is why. You provided more context in all the comments, and through the comments, it's clear you're worried about her and want to help her accomplish her goal. In your post, it very much sounds like you're coming from a place of, I'm fit and she's not. I run and she doesn't. I'm in shape and she's not. If she runs, she'll get a bad time. That's a problem. And if she walks and doesn't run, that's a problem. Those are the only problems. It also may or may not have something to do with how frustrating it is, as someone just trying something new, to have someone who has been doing it for longer and knows more about it to start offering unsolicited advice and tell you how everything you're doing is wrong, and if you do it just like them, it will be better for you. Response 16, YTA. 12 weeks is a pretty common training schedule for a half marathon. Yes, for a beginner, she doesn't want to win it, just complete it. Be supportive on her terms, not yours. Reply 1, can confirm. I did a 3-month training plan when I ran a half marathon with 0 running experience. I came in 3rd last, but I finished it and within the time limit too. That's all that mattered to me. And I'm pretty sure I wrote a race report about it, which is in my post history if anyone wants to call BS. Edited to add, I followed Hal Higdon's running plans, if anyone is curious. Response 17. I was hanging out with a bunch of people in their early 50s, and everyone had some kind of injury from major to minor that was the consequence of something they did in their 20s. It was the same story. They hadn't played basketball/volleyball, soccer, lifted weights, gone backpacking, done a long bike ride, done yoga, or whatever in a few years, or maybe never, and thought, what's the worst that could happen? I pull a muscle. And they weren't crippled or anything, but the body remembered. That's the big difference between early-late 20s. It takes time to get up to speed. Response 18, NTA. She could injure herself really badly with a 12-week plan without building the cardio base first. She needs to start off with a couch to 5K. Honestly, bar is not running. She needs to take this seriously or she will have an injury that needs a long recovery. And I would say she needs 24 weeks of training from nothing. Response 19, gently, you're the a-hole. Speaking as a fellow runner, you're not wrong that she has no idea what she's getting herself into, and not building up any kind of a base prior to the 12-week couch to half plan she's got hold of is just setting her up for failure. But as I've said before, you can be right and still be an AH. You can try to give advice, but when someone doesn't share a frame of reference, they may not be able to absorb the information the way you're presenting it. Continuing to push just makes people upset, and continuing to push is where you're the AH. It sounds like you're coming at this from a place of genuine concern, but she's an adult. You can't treat her like a child. Now, even if you turn out to be right and she winds up with an overuse injury or DNFs her event, she's not going to thank you for being right. She's likely going to resent you for it. I can't tell you how to act in your relationship for certainty, but I think your best bet at this point is to drop it unless she asks for your help/input. Response 20, YTA, and here's why. And I was in your girlfriend's boat, not in tremendous shape, but but undertook a running plan and then successfully completed a half marathon. It was a great accomplishment for me, although I did not break any records, and it was a jumpstart to taking my health more seriously. You're the a-hole only because you seem to have a dozen gatekeepery reasons for your girlfriend to not do something. That's not even that tremendous a deal. She's not going to be placed under arrest if she walks a few portions of the race, etc. You can run without making a living off it. Why not switch gears and indulge her / support her? You sound like a perfectionist and a Buzz Killington.